Have you ever wondered why you constantly feel so behind in life, as if everyone else is moving forward and you're just stuck?
But why? Why have I not yet become a Super Saiyan? Tell me!
Well, after years of studying psychology, reflecting on my own personal experiences, and even pulling lessons from Dragon Ball Z, I've discovered the huge mistake that keeps you behind of 99% of people. So in today's video, I'll give you 3 easy techniques to help you stop from feeling stuck and take you from being behind to actually being ahead of 99% of people. To start, let me expose the hidden mistake that's been keeping you behind and how it shows up in your daily life without you even realizing it. In Dragon Ball Z, there's a character named Vegeta, and he's the prince of the warrior race known as the Saiyans. Vegeta was raised to believe that he was destined to be the strongest in the universe, and that belief held firm until he came to Earth and lost to Goku and his friends. From that moment on, Vegeta began measuring himself up against Goku at every turn. And no matter how hard he trained, Goku always seemed to edge him out. But the gap slowly started to wear on Vegeta, and the pride that the prince once had turned into a constant cycle of temporary confidence followed by deeper self-doubt. What Vegeta fell into is the same trap that kept him behind Goku, and it's the same mistake that's keeping you behind 99% of people. And that's the trap of comparison and constant self-doubt. The thing is, this trap sneaks into your everyday life without you even realizing it, at least not until it's too late. But why is it so easy to fall into, and how can you spot it before it leaves you stuck? Next, I'll show you exactly how to spot the different ways comparison shows up in your life, so you can break free from it and finally stop feeling stuck. Naturally, as humans, we compare ourselves to others in order to learn more about our own identities and see where we measure up. But not all comparison looks the same, so understanding how we compare ourselves is pretty important. In psychology, there's a concept known as the social comparison theory, which explains 3 ways we compare ourselves to others. First, we have upward comparison. This is when we compare ourselves to people we believe are ahead of us in life. These are people you typically see on social media or living an exciting lifestyle. Think of big social media influencers or people who are really wealthy or high performers in the same field as you. Then there's downward comparison. This happens when we compare ourselves to people we believe are behind us or worse off. These are people we look at when we want to feel better about where we're at, and it might be someone who's struggling more visibly or hasn't hit certain milestones and seems less put together than we are. But not all the time is this done in a malicious way, but it's how we make ourselves feel better. And finally, there is lateral comparison. This is where we compare ourselves to people we see who are similar to us. So think of your classmates, your coworkers, or people who are in a similar position or stage in life as you. Comparison is a natural part of the human experience, and it's not something that we can completely avoid, but this is the part that makes it tricky and when it leads us to doubt our own abilities and become stagnant in life. But now that you understand how and why we compare ourselves, let me show you the 3 simple techniques that pushes you ahead of 99% of people. Starting with the first, which helps you use comparison to your advantage. So, near the end of the original Dragon Ball Z story, Vegeta comes back to life to help Goku in the final battle against one of the strongest enemies yet, Majin Buu. During the fight, Goku uses his Super Saiyan 3 form and starts going toe-to-toe with Buu in a way that Vegeta simply couldn't match. And as Vegeta watches, he begins doing some self-reflection on his own character. And for the first time, instead of resenting Goku's strength, he accepts it. And he acknowledges Goku's strength, his kind heart, and his unwavering drive. And he's genuinely happy for him. What Vegeta shows here is a perfect example of the first technique, social savoring. Social savoring is the practice of being genuinely happy for someone else's success without turning their win into your loss. However, this is where many of us fall short. We see someone doing better than you, and we immediately begin putting ourselves down. We begin to tie their success to our worth. But when you engage in social savoring, you'll be able to shift that mentality so that their win serves as evidence that the success that you desire is possible. And now I'm going to show you how to use social savoring for yourself so that you can finally stop feeling behind in life. In order to use the power of social savoring, you need to start improving your own life because of someone else's success. For example, let's say you want to write a book and someone you just follow just posted something about publishing their best-selling book. What you want to do is first acknowledge where that person is and be genuinely happy for them. Appreciate their progress without making it personal or negative towards yourself. So instead of being hard on yourself, you can congratulate them and acknowledge your own feelings in the process. Next, you want to study their journey. If they're public about it, ask yourself or even ask them if you can. What daily actions, habits, or mindsets help them to get there? After you take the time to figure out what that one thing is, you then want to move on to the last step. Then you just want to adopt just one of those habits, something small that you can start applying to your own life right now to help you move closer to your goal. Maybe you realize they mentioned they were writing 1 page a day, so you start even smaller by committing to write just 1 sentence a day. The key here is to focus on their process and not just their success, because what you're doing now might not be what got them there in the first place. Social savoring will help you flip comparison into more of a compass to push you towards your goals and the life you truly wish to live. And now that you have learned the first technique, let me show you the technique that will take you from feeling behind to being truly ahead of 99% of people. I've been doing YouTube for about 7-8 months now, and like a lot of creators, I found myself constantly comparing my channel to others. I'll compare myself to creators who just posted their first video, already getting hundreds of thousands of views and subscribers, and it made me question everything. Are my videos even good enough? Are they worth watching? And all this comparison just made it harder for me to focus, and I'd spend more time in my head rather than actually making progress on my next video. But one day, after seeing another creator drop an incredible video and feeling discouraged, I was looking at my own channel and comparing mine to theirs. Then I clicked on one of the first videos I ever posted, and I noticed something that I hadn't noticed before. The way I spoke, the editing, the energy, it was completely different than what I do now. Then that's when it hit me. I've grown a lot. And without realizing it, I had just engaged in the next technique, temporal comparison. And this is where you evaluate yourself by comparing your current outcomes to past experiences or results. Usually when we compare ourselves, we look outward, focusing on what others are doing to see where we measure up. But we can cause us to slow down and doubt our own growth. Instead of looking outward, we need to shift that comparison inward and reflect on our own progress. And now I'm going to show you how to use temporal comparison for yourself so you can stop feeling behind in life and get ahead of 99% of people. So here's how you do it. Start by creating a micro narrative. It's just a short personal story that highlights how far you've come. You can write it down or say it out loud, whatever works for you. What you would do is use this simple structure. Back then I used to blank, now I blank. This shows me that I blank. Let me give you an example. Back then I used to constantly doubt myself when I was making my videos. Now I can do it without freezing up. This shows me that I've become a person who's learned to trust myself. The key thing to know is that the only competition that matters is you. It's an everyday battle of you versus yourself, not anyone else. This mentality will keep you focused on your own journey, propelling you farther ahead where most people will be worried about other people's success. Now, I'm going to show you the final technique that'll help you overcome the mistake that keeps you behind 99% of people. During the Android saga in Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta had just become a Super Saiyan, and he believed that he was the strongest. But when he faced the newer androids, he lost badly. When his pride shattered, Vegeta began to seriously doubt his own strength and question whether he was the warrior he believed himself to be. However, before it got too far, Vegeta shifted his thinking, reminding himself of who he was and refocusing on the new heights he was determined to reach. What Vegeta demonstrated here is a perfect illustration of the third technique. And next, I'll show you how to use it for yourself so you can finally fix the mistake that's been keeping you behind 99% of people. The technique is called identity shifting. Identity shifting is a practice of taking what you currently believe to be true about yourself and intentionally changing it to align with the person you want to become. Since comparison is one of the ways we evaluate ourselves and form our identity, we need to consciously be aware of what's happening and actively reshape that self-perception, just like Vegeta did. First, you want to recognize the identity that you're currently attaching yourself to. When you find yourself stuck in comparison, pause and pay attention to the thoughts that pass through your mind. What are you telling yourself in that moment? Are you thinking that I'm not good enough or I'll never catch up? Similar to Vegeta when he thought that his strength was limited due to his biology, these thoughts reveal the identity that you've unconsciously accepted. And the first step is simply acknowledging that it's there. Then you want to interrupt that thought and don't let it define you. Once you identify the negative narrative, you simply cut it off and remind yourself that this isn't the truth. It's just a thought. If someone else can do it, you can too. Your current identity isn't fixed, it's flexible. And then you want to shift the version of yourself into the person you want to become. Now ask yourself, who is the person I want to be and what would that other person be doing? If you want to become a business owner, would that version of you spend hours scrolling on social media? Or would they use that time to work on their craft and generate ideas or build something that matters? When you start grounding your identity in who you are and who you're becoming, you'll naturally become, less reactive to other people and their successes, making you more focused, consistent, and confident in your own ability to grow. And now that you know how to escape the comparison trap, there's still one hidden mistake that can be holding you back from the life that you truly want. If you've been feeling lazy or unmotivated lately, that's actually a hidden signal quietly keeping you from the future that you're meant for. Click the video on your screen now to discover what that is.